The council chamber stretched wide and tall, filled with beings from across the galaxy. Ambassador Linda Hayes stood at the center platform, her small human frame surrounded by creatures that towered over her. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few seemed to be made of living crystal. They all stared down at her with expressions that ranged from curiosity to barely concealed contempt. Council Speaker Threll rose from his seat. He was a Xanthari, standing nearly 9 feet tall with 4 golden eyes and skin that looked like polished gemstones. His voice echoed through the chamber when he spoke. Ambassador Hayes, the Council has been patient with your species. We welcomed Earth into our Confederation 5 years ago. We shared our technology and our knowledge. Now we ask for something in return. Linda kept her face calm even though her heart was beating fast. She had expected this conversation for weeks. The Council's message was clear, Speaker Threll. You want Earth to send military forces to help fight the Vraxel swarm. Not just military forces, a voice called out from the left side of the chamber. It belonged to Admiral Grex, a massive Sorok with green scales and teeth like knives. We need warships. Real warships. The Vraxel are consuming worlds on the outer rim. They have already destroyed 3 colonies. If we don't stop them now, they will reach the core systems within a year. Another council member spoke up, a Kthari with 6 arms and compound eyes. Every member species has contributed to the defense fleet. The Xanthari sent 200 ships. The Sorok sent 300. Even the peaceful Eldar sent 50 vessels. It is time for humanity to do its part. Linda nodded slowly. I understand the situation is serious. Earth takes this threat very seriously as well. Then you will send ships? Threll asked, leaning forward in his seat. Yes, Linda said. Earth will send a ship to join the defense fleet. The chamber fell silent for a moment. Then someone laughed. It was a harsh barking sound. Admiral Grex was shaking his huge head. A ship, 1 ship? Surely you mean 100 ships, or perhaps 50 at minimum. Linda met his eyes without flinching. I said what I meant, Admiral. Earth will contribute 1 vessel to the defense fleet. The chamber erupted into chaos. Voices overlapped each other in a dozen different languages, all of them angry or confused. Threll raised one of his 4 hands and the noise died down, though the tension remained thick in the air. Ambassador Hayes, Threll said, and his voice was cold now. Perhaps there is a translation error. You are saying Earth will send a single warship? That is correct. Your world has how many vessels in your fleet? Asked the Kthari Council member. That information is classified, Linda replied calmly. Admiral Grex slammed his fist on his desk, making a sound like thunder. This is an insult. The Vraxel swarm threatens all of us. Every species must contribute according to their ability. Earth cannot claim poverty or weakness. We know you have been building ships since you joined the Council. Earth is not claiming poverty or weakness, Linda said. We are contributing what we believe is appropriate for the current situation. 1 ship is not appropriate, another voice shouted. It is a joke. It is cowardice, someone else called out. Linda let them shout for a few seconds before she spoke again, her voice cutting through the noise. Earth has made its decision. We will send the ESS Valor and her crew. Captain Jake Morrison will command the vessel. They will depart for the Carinth system within 48 hours. Threll's 4 eyes studied her carefully. Ambassador, I do not understand your species. If you refuse to provide adequate support, the Council may need to reconsider Earth's membership in the Confederation. That is your right, Linda said, but I think you should wait and see what 1 human ship can do before you make any decisions. What 1 ship can do? Admiral Grex laughed again. 1 ship will do nothing. 1 ship will be destroyed in the first engagement, or its crew will flee back to Earth with their tails between their legs. Linda allowed herself a small smile. I suppose we'll find out, won't we? The council session ended badly. As Linda left the chamber, she could hear the council members talking among themselves. They were placing bets, she realized. Some were betting on how quickly the human ship would be destroyed. Others were betting on how long it would take for the crew to abandon their mission and run home. She returned to her quarters and opened a secure communication channel to Earth. Admiral Kyle. Bennett's face appeared on the screen. He was in his 60s with gray hair and sharp blue eyes that had seen plenty of combat in his younger days. How did it go? He asked. About as well as we expected, Linda said. They think we're insulting them. They think we're cowards, Kyle nodded. Good, let them think that. Are you sure about this plan? Sending just 1 ship? I'm sure, Kyle said. We need to see what we're dealing with before we commit our full resources. The Valor is our best ship and Jake Morrison is our best captain. If anyone can handle the situation, it's him. The Council expects us to fail. I know, Kyle said, and he smiled. They're in for a surprise. Halfway across the galaxy, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the ESS Valor. He was 42 years old, tall and lean with brown hair starting to gray at the temples. He had been in the Earth Space Service for 20 years and had commanded the Valor for the last 3. The Valor was a destroyer-class vessel, about 800 feet long and bristling with weapons. She had a crew of 240 men and women, all of them highly trained and experienced. The ship could accelerate faster than most alien vessels, and her hull was designed to take punishment that would tear other ships apart. "Captain, we have our orders," said Commander Lisa Park, his first officer. She was 35, sharp-minded, and one of the best tactical officers in the fleet. "We're to proceed to the Carinth system and join the defense fleet." Jake nodded. "I saw the briefing. We're going to be surrounded by aliens who think we're either stupid or scared." "Probably both," Lisa said with a slight grin. "The intelligence report says the council members are making jokes about us." "Let them joke," Jake said. "We'll show them what one human ship can do." Lieutenant Danny Wright spoke up from the engineering station. He was a short, stocky man with oil stains on his uniform, and a mind that could solve problems other engineers couldn't even understand. "Captain, I've been reading about these Vraxil. They use swarm tactics, lots of small ships moving together. Our weapons should be effective against them." "That's the idea," Jake said, "but we won't know for sure until we get there." Dr. Sophie Chen entered the bridge carrying a datapad. She was the ship's medical officer and xenobiologist. "I've been studying the reports from the other Defense Fleet ships. The Vraxil are insectoid, similar to some Earth species. They don't seem to feel pain the way we do, and they don't retreat easily." "Good to know," Jake said. "Anything else?" "The alien ships fight in rigid formations," Sophie said. "Very predictable patterns. They rely on shields and armor rather than maneuverability." Lisa looked up from her station. "That could work in our favor. The Valor was designed for speed and agility." Jake walked to the front of the bridge and looked out at the stars through the main viewport. "We're going into a situation where everyone expects us to fail. They think one ship isn't enough. They think humanity doesn't understand what we're facing." He turned to face his crew. "They're wrong. We're going to show them that one human ship, properly designed and properly crewed, can make a real difference. We're going to prove that Earth sent exactly the right amount of force for this mission." "Captain," said Ensign Amy Foster from the navigation station. She was young, barely 25, but her reflexes were the best Jake had ever seen. "Do you really think we can make a difference? There are thousands of ships in the defense fleet." "I know we can make a difference," Jake said firmly, "because we're not going there to follow their rules or use their tactics. We're going there to do what humans do best: adapt, improvise, and win against impossible odds." The crew looked at each other, and Jake could see the determination growing in their eyes. These men and women had trained for years for moments like this. They understood that Earth was testing something important with this mission. It wasn't just about fighting the Vraxil. It was about showing the galaxy what humanity could do. "All stations prepare for departure," Jake ordered. "Engineering, I want maximum efficiency from the engines. Weapons, run a full diagnostic on all systems. Medical, make sure we're ready for casualties. Navigation, plot the fastest course to the Carinth system." The bridge came alive with activity as the crew moved to their tasks. Jake sat in his command chair and pulled up the intelligence reports on his personal screen. The Vraxil swarm had appeared 6 months ago from unknown space. They traveled in huge groups, consuming resources from every world they encountered. They didn't communicate, they didn't negotiate, and they didn't stop. The Galactic Council had assembled the largest military fleet in recent history to stop them. Ships from 7 different species, all working together to defend the Outer Rim colonies, and now one human ship was about to join them. Jake knew what the aliens were thinking. They saw humans as newcomers, as primitives who had barely discovered faster than light. The Carinth system appeared on the view screen as the Valor dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Jake Morrison leaned forward in his command chair, studying the scene before him. He had seen large fleet formations before, but nothing prepared him for this sight. Ships, thousands of them. They filled the space around Carinth Prime like a swarm of metal insects. The smallest vessels were the size of Earth's old ocean carriers. The largest were mobile cities, stretching for miles with weapons platforms that could level continents. They represented 7 different species, each with their own design philosophy and combat doctrine. Impressive, Lisa Park said from beside him. Sensor readings show 3,217 vessels in defensive formation. And we make 3,218, Jake said. I'm sure they're thrilled to have us. Lieutenant Marcus Bell looked up from the weapons station. He was a tall man with dark skin and calm eyes that never seemed to show stress, even in combat situations. Captain, we're being hailed by the fleet command ship. It's Admiral Grex. Of course it is, Jake said. Put him on screen. The view screen switched from the starfield to show Admiral Grex's massive reptilian face. His scales gleamed under the bright lights of his command bridge, and his teeth were visible in what might have been a smile or a sneer. Behind him, Jake could see dozens of alien crew members working at stations that looked nothing like human design. Captain Morrison, Grex said, and his voice carried clear contempt. Welcome to the Carinth defense line. I see Earth has sent their contribution to our fleet. Admiral, Jake replied calmly. The Valor is ready to take her position in the formation. Grex laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. Position? Yes, let me think about where to put you. Perhaps in the rear guard where you can watch how real warriors fight. We would not want Earth's only ship to be damaged in actual combat. Jake felt Lisa tense beside him, but he kept his own expression neutral. The rear guard is acceptable, Admiral. We'll follow your commands. Good, Grex said. Perhaps humanity is not completely foolish. Transmitting coordinates now. Stay in formation and stay out of the way. The screen went black. That went well, Danny Wright said from the engineering station. Several crew members made sounds of frustration or anger. Steady, Jake said. We expected this. They see us as weak because they don't know us yet. That's fine. We'll educate them. The Valor moved into her assigned position at the back of the formation. Around them, massive alien dreadnoughts formed defensive walls. Gun platforms the size of small moons floated in careful patterns. Fighter craft zipped between the larger vessels in coordinated swarms. The formation is rigid, Lisa observed, studying her tactical display. Every ship has a specific position and role. They don't seem to deviate from the pattern. That makes sense for their technology, Sophie Chen said. She had come to the bridge to observe the alien fleet. Most of these species think in terms of naval warfare. Big ships, heavy armor, overwhelming firepower. They probably haven't fought a truly mobile enemy in centuries. What about the Vraxil? Asked Ensign Amy Foster. The reports say the Vraxil swarm, Sophie replied. They move in groups, but their individual ships aren't particularly agile. It's just a different kind of formation warfare. Jake studied the tactical display, noting the positions of every major vessel. The Zenthari ships were in the center, massive and heavily armored. The Sarok vessels formed the front line, bristling with weapons. The Cathari provided support ships using their multiple arm design to operate complex systems. The other species filled various roles throughout the formation, and at the very back alone sat the Valor. Small, fast, and completely underestimated. Captain, Marcus said, I'm reading the weapons loadouts on these ships. Most of them use energy weapons. Lasers, plasma cannons, particle beams. Very few kinetic weapons. They probably think kinetic weapons are primitive, Lisa said. They are primitive, Jake agreed. But primitive doesn't mean ineffective. Danny, how are our railguns? Operating at peak efficiency, Captain, Danny replied with a grin. I've made a few modifications that should increase muzzle velocity by about 15%. The aliens won't know what hit them. A new voice came over the communication system. Attention all vessels. This is Fleet Command. Patrol wings will deploy to the forward perimeter in 5 minutes. All ships maintain defensive positions. Jake watched as hundreds of small fighter craft launched from the larger vessels. They formed neat geometric patterns moving in perfect synchronization. It was beautiful in its own way, but also predictable. Commander Vrel is requesting permission to come aboard, Lisa said. He's a Cathari observer assigned to report on our performance. Permission granted, Jake said. Might as well let him see what we're doing. 10 minutes later, Commander Vrel entered the bridge. He was shorter than most Cathari, only about 6 feet tall with 6 arms that moved independently of each other. His compound eyes seemed to look in multiple directions at once. He wore a complex harness covered in recording devices. Captain Morrison, Vrel said in surprisingly good English. I am here to observe and document your vessel's contribution to the defense fleet. Welcome aboard, Commander, Jake said. Feel free to look around. We have nothing to hide. Vrel moved around the bridge, his multiple arms working different recording devices. He paused at the weapons station. These are kinetic weapons? Railguns and missile launchers? That's right, Marcus said. Fascinating, Vrel said. Most species abandoned such weapons thousands of years ago. They are considered inefficient compared to energy weapons. They have their uses, Marcus replied neutrally. Vrel continued his tour, taking notes and recordings. Jake watched him but didn't interfere. Let the Thari see what he wanted. Soon enough, everyone would understand what human weapons could do. Hours passed in relative quiet. The Valor maintained her position at the back of the formation. The crew ran drills and checked systems. Some tried to sleep. Others played cards or watched entertainment programs. It was boring, exactly the kind of assignment meant to keep them out of the way. Then the alarm started. Contact, Lisa announced sharply. Multiple Vraxil ships entering the system. They're coming from the north quadrant. The main view screen showed distant dots appearing against the black of space. The dots grew larger quickly, resolving into ship forms that looked organic rather than mechanical. They were elongated and segmented like giant space-going insects, covered in what looked like chitinous armor. Fleet is moving to intercept, Marcus reported. All forward vessels are advancing to meet the threat. Jake watched as the massive alien dreadnoughts began their ponderous movement forward. They accelerated slowly, maintaining their rigid formation. The Vraxil ships came on fast, swarming around each other in complex patterns. 32 Vraxil vessels detected, Lisa said. They're breaking into smaller groups. Looks like scouting parties. Fleet Command is ordering all rearguard vessels to maintain position, Marcus said. Jake stood up from his command chair. How far away is the Vraxil group that's moving south? Lisa checked her sensors. Approximately 8 million kilometers. They seem to be trying to flank the main formation. That's within our engagement range, Jake said. Ensign Foster, can you plot an intercept course? Amy's fingers flew over her navigation console. Yes, sir. We can reach them in 12 minutes if we go to full acceleration. Commander Vrel turned to look at Jake, his compound eyes reflecting the bridge lights. Captain, Fleet Command ordered all rearguard vessels to maintain position. Fleet Command is dealing with the main Vraxil force, Jake said. That flanking group is going to slip past them and hit the support ships. We can intercept them. You cannot engage 32 enemy vessels alone, Vrel said. That is suicide. Maybe, Jake agreed. But it's better than sitting here while the enemy outmaneuvers us. Lisa, send a message to Fleet Command. Tell them we're moving to intercept the flanking force. Sending now, Lisa said. A moment later, she looked up. Admiral Grex is responding. He says, and I quote, "If the humans want to commit suicide, let them. At least they will die before they can embarrass us further." Jake smiled coldly. How thoughtful. Ensign Foster, take us to the Vraxil. Full acceleration. Marcus, power up all weapon systems. Danny, I want every bit of speed you can give me. Aye, Captain. They responded in unison. The Valor leaped forward, leaving her position at the rear of the formation. The acceleration pressed everyone back in their seats. This was one of the advantages of human ship design. The crew were in acceleration couches with special cushioning systems. They could withstand much higher forces than most alien species. We're pulling 7 gravities, Amy reported. The alien ships back there are watching us. I don't think they can believe we're moving this fast. They're lost, Jake said. Time to intercept? 10 minutes now, Amy said. The Vraxil have detected us and they're adjusting their formation. On the view screen, Jake could see the Vraxil ships more clearly now. They were smaller than the Valor, each one perhaps 300 feet long. They moved with an organic quality, like living creatures swimming through space. Their formation was tight but not rigid, constantly shifting and adjusting. 32 ships, Marcus said. They're armed with what looks like bio. The Valor returned to the fleet formation with scorch marks on her hull, and her weapons still hot from combat. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge watching as the massive alien warships came into view. The main Vraxil attack force had been driven off, but not before testing the defensive line. Several alien ships showed damage, though none had been destroyed. Captain, we're being hailed by Admiral Grex again, Marcus Bell said from the weapons station. He sounds on different. Put him on, Jake said. Admiral Grex's face filled the screen. The contempt was gone from his expression, replaced by something that might have been confusion or perhaps grudging respect. "Captain Morrison, I have reviewed the sensor logs from your engagement. You destroyed 15 Vraxel vessels and damaged 10 more in 7 minutes. "Yes, sir," Jake replied simply. "How?" Grex demanded. "Those were combat vessels, not scouts. Each one should have been a match for your ship. Yet you went through them like they were nothing." "We used speed and surprise," Jake said. "The Vraxel expected us to fight the way your ships fight. We didn't." Grex was quiet for a moment. "Your weapons. Those kinetic devices. They were more effective than I expected." "Railguns have advantages in certain situations," Jake said. "No energy signature before firing. Very difficult to dodge, and they don't care about shields or energy resistance." "I see," Grex said slowly. "Return to formation, Captain. But not the rear guard. I am assigning you to forward patrol duties. Perhaps your unconventional methods will be useful." The screen went dark. Several crew members on the bridge let out quiet cheers. Lisa Park looked at Jake with a slight smile. "Forward patrol. That's a significant upgrade from where we started." "It's a start," Jake agreed. "But we've only shown them what we can do against a small force. The real test is coming." Commander Vrel approached Jake's command chair. The Cathari's 6 arms were moving in what Jake had learned was a sign of excitement or agitation. "Captain, I must ask, how did you know your tactics would work?" "We didn't know for certain," Jake admitted. "But we studied the Vraxel behavior patterns. They move like pack hunters trying to surround their prey. We guessed they wouldn't expect prey to charge straight at them." "It goes against all normal combat doctrine," Vrel said. "Earth's combat doctrine is different," Lisa said. "We learned warfare fighting each other. Humans have been killing humans for thousands of years. We got very good at it." Vrel's compound eyes seemed to focus more intently on her. "That is disturbing." "Maybe," Lisa agreed. "But it made us very good at finding new ways to fight." Over the next several days, the Valor took up her new position in the forward patrol area. They worked alongside ships from other species, hunting for Vraxel scout groups and intercepting small attack forces. Each engagement followed a similar pattern. The alien ships would form their defensive positions, ready for a conventional battle. Then the Valor would do something unexpected. During one engagement, they used a nearby asteroid field as cover. The Cathari and Saurok ships refused to enter the field, considering it too dangerous. The Valor wove through the rocks at high speed, using them to block enemy fire while launching ambush attacks. They destroyed 8 Vraxel ships without taking a single hit. In another battle, they let a Vraxel force think they were retreating. The aliens pursued, breaking their formation to chase what looked like easy prey. The Valor suddenly reversed course and with full acceleration, caught the lead ships by surprise. By the time the Vraxel realized the trap, 5 of their vessels were destroyed and the rest were in disarray. Lieutenant Danny Wright proved particularly creative during one engagement. He modified the Valor's shield generators to create a pulse effect that disrupted Vraxel targeting systems. The aliens fired blindly while the Valor systematically destroyed them one by one. Word spread through the fleet about the human ship that fought like no one had ever seen before. Other captains started watching the Valor's engagements, studying their tactics. Some tried to copy what they saw, but most found it impossible. Their ships were too slow, their crews couldn't handle the acceleration, and their rigid command structures made quick decisions difficult. Commander Vrel spent hours reviewing his recordings and making notes. One evening he approached Jake in the officers' mess where the captain was eating a simple meal of rice and vegetables. "Captain, may I join you?" Vrel asked. "Of course," Jake said, gesturing to the chair across from him. Vrel settled into the seat, folding 4 of his arms while the other 2 continued making notes on a data pad. "I have been observing your crew for 6 days now. I believe I am beginning to understand." "Understand what?" Jake asked. "Why your ship is different," Vrel said. "It is not just your weapons or your speed. It is how you think about combat." Jake took a drink of water. "Go on." "Most species in the Galactic Council evolved from prey animals," Vrel explained. "The Xanthari were hunted by larger predators on their homeworld. The Cathari evolved in dense forests where hiding was essential. Even the Saurok, who seem so aggressive, were actually scavengers who fed on the kills of larger predators." "And humans?" Jake asked. "Humans are persistence hunters," Vrel said. "I researched your evolution. Your ancestors hunted prey by chasing them to exhaustion. You didn't need to be the fastest or the strongest. You just needed to never give up. And you hunted in packs using cooperation and strategy. That sounds about right, Jake said. But more than that, Vrel continued, his compound eyes seeming to shine with excitement. Humans also fought each other. Your history is filled with wars. You developed weapons and tactics specifically to kill other humans. This is almost unique in the galaxy. Most species don't fight each other? Jake asked, genuinely surprised. Not like humans do, Vrel said. Most species had conflicts, but nothing like the scale and intensity of human warfare. You invented concepts like flanking, ambush, deception, psychological warfare. You wrote books about strategy and tactics. You studied war like it was a science. Jake thought about that for a moment. I suppose we never really thought about it that way. War has always been part of human history. It shows in how you fight, Vrel said. Every member of your crew can think independently. They can make decisions without waiting for orders. Your ship is designed to operate alone if necessary. Everything about human military doctrine is built around flexibility and adaptation. While most alien species build their military around rigid formations and overwhelming force, Jake said. Exactly, Vrel agreed. It is not better or worse, just different. But against an enemy like the Vraxil, who also use swarm tactics and rely on numbers, your approach is more effective. The conversation was interrupted by an alarm. Jake's communicator buzzed urgently. Captain, to the bridge, Lisa's voice said. We have a situation. Jake ran to the bridge with Commander Vrel hurrying behind him. When they arrived, the main view screen showed a tactical display of the Carinth system. A massive red cloud was moving toward them from deep space. What am I looking at? Jake demanded. Vraxil, Lisa said grimly. A lot of them. Our long-range sensors are counting over 500 vessels. They're heading straight for us. Fleet Command is mobilizing all ships, Marcus reported. Admiral Grex is ordering a defensive wall formation. Jake studied the display. The Vraxil fleet was enormous, far larger than anything they had faced before. But something about their movement pattern bothered him. They're all together. One big mass. No scouts, no flanking forces, just one huge group. That is unusual, Vrel observed. The Vraxil normally send smaller attack waves. Maybe they're trying a new strategy, Lisa suggested. Or maybe they're not as smart as we thought, Jake said. How long until they reach us? At current speed, about 4 hours. Amy Foster reported from navigation. That gives us time to prepare, Jake said. Lisa, I need you to run some calculations. What would happen if we used nuclear weapons against a tightly packed formation like that? The bridge went silent. Every crew member turned to look at Jake. Commander Vrel's arm stopped moving, his compound eyes fixed on the captain. Captain? Lisa said carefully. Nuclear weapons are banned under the Galactic Warfare Convention. No species has used them in combat for over 3,000 years. Earth didn't sign that convention, Jake said. We're not bound by it. And right now I'm looking at 500 enemy ships all grouped together, which is exactly the kind of target nuclear weapons were designed for. The aliens will be horrified, Vrel said quietly. They'll be alive, Jake countered, which is more than they'll be if that Vraxil fleet breaks through our lines. Lisa, run those calculations. I want to know what kind of damage we can do. Lisa's fingers moved over her console. After a moment, she looked up. Captain, a nuclear detonation in the middle of that formation would destroy or cripple at least 100 ships, maybe more depending on their spacing. The radiation would disrupt their systems and damage any survivors. Do we have nuclear weapons aboard? Vrel asked, sounding both fascinated and disturbed. We have 12 tactical nuclear missiles, Marcus said. Standard loadout for all human warships. We don't advertise it, but we've never gotten rid of them. Jake opened a communication channel to Fleet Command. Admiral Grex appeared on the screen. Captain Morrison, what is it? The Valor raced through space toward the Vraxil swarm. On the bridge, Jake Morrison watched the distance counter tick down. 2 million kilometers. 1 million. 500,000. The enemy fleet grew larger on the view screen with each passing second. They're not changing formation, Lisa Park observed. Still packed tight together. They must think their numbers make them invincible. Let's teach them otherwise, Jake said. Marcus, status on the missile? Armed and ready, Marcus Bell replied. Target lock is established on the center of their formation. The warhead yield is set to maximum. Radiation shielding is up, Danny Wright reported from engineering. We should be safe from the blast at our projected distance. Commander Vrel stood near the back of the bridge, all 6 of his arms gripping support rails. His compound eyes were fixed on the view screen. Captain, I have witnessed many battles in my career. This is the first time I have felt genuine fear. Fear is healthy, Jake said. It keeps you alert. Ensign Foster, how's our approach vector? On target, Amy Foster said. Her young face was calm and focused. We'll reach optimal firing range in 90 seconds. Jake opened a fleet-wide communication channel. All ships, this is Captain Morrison of the ESS Valor. We are about to engage the Vraxel fleet with an unconventional weapon. I recommend all vessels increase distance from the target area and prepare radiation protocols. You're about to see something that hasn't been used in combat for over 3,000 years. He closed the channel and took a deep breath. All hands, brace for impact. This is going to be rough even at our distance. The seconds ticked away. The Vraxel swarm filled the view screen now. Hundreds of organic ships moving together like a living thing. They had detected the Valor and were adjusting their formation, but slowly. They probably thought one human ship was irrelevant, barely worth noticing. 30 seconds, Amy announced. Weapons range achieved, Marcus said. Ready to fire on your command, Captain. Jake thought about Earth so far away. He thought about the millions of people in this system, both human and alien, who were depending on him. He thought about the council members who had mocked humanity for sending just one ship. And he thought about the crew around him, brave men and women who had followed him into this impossible situation without hesitation. Fire, he commanded. The nuclear missile launched from the Valor's forward tube. It accelerated away from the ship, a small dart of metal and death aimed at the heart of the Vraxel swarm. Jake watched it go on the tactical display, a single bright dot racing toward 500 enemy vessels. Impact in 10 seconds, Marcus said quietly. All crew, seal your helmets and engage radiation filters, Jake ordered. Around the bridge, crew members pulled down protective visors and activated their suit systems. 5 seconds. 3. 1. The view screen automatically dimmed as the nuclear warhead detonated. Even through the filters, the flash was blinding. A sphere of pure white light expanded from the center of the Vraxel formation, growing larger and larger. Ships caught in the initial blast simply vanished, torn apart by forces they had never encountered before. Others near the edge were thrown outward, tumbling through space with their systems failing. Then came the radiation wave. It spread outward from the detonation point, invisible but deadly. The Vraxel ships that had survived the initial blast began to fail as their organic systems were cooked by gamma rays and neutron flux. Their bioplasma weapons powered down. Their living hulls started to die. Damage assessment, Jake said, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. Reading massive casualties, Lisa reported, her voice shaking slightly. At least 90 Vraxel ships destroyed outright. Another 150 are showing critical damage. Most of their sensor systems are offline. They're blind. The remaining ships are breaking formation, Marcus added. Some are trying to retreat. Others are just drifting. Jake opened the fleet communication channel again. All ships, this is Captain Morrison. The Vraxel formation is broken. Recommend immediate attack on remaining vessels while they're disorganized. Admiral Grex's voice came back immediately. All fleet units advance and engage. Show no mercy. The massive alien warships surged forward, finally breaking their rigid defensive positions. They fell on the confused and damaged Vraxel ships like wolves on wounded prey. Energy weapons lit up the darkness of space. Missiles streaked between the vessels. The battle that might have lasted hours and cost hundreds of Allied ships was over in 20 minutes. When it ended, the Vraxel swarm was destroyed. Over 400 of their ships were gone. The survivors fled into deep space, pursued by alien fighter craft that made sure they kept running. The Valor returned to the fleet formation. As they approached, Jake noticed something different. The other ships weren't just maintaining their positions. They were moving aside, creating a corridor for the human vessel to pass through. It was a sign of respect, of acknowledgement. Captain, we're receiving messages from multiple fleet vessels, Lisa said. They're all saying the same thing. Congratulations and thank you. Jake nodded slowly. Acknowledge each message. Be polite but brief. We didn't do this for glory. We did it because it needed to be done. But before they could finish acknowledging the messages, new alarms started blaring. Amy's face went pale as she looked at her navigation console. Captain, I'm reading an emergency distress signal. It's coming from the Parvin colony, 3 systems away from here. What kind of emergency? Jake demanded. Vraxel attack, Amy said. A large force broke through the outer defenses. They're heading for the colony world. Population is over 2 million people. Lisa pulled up the tactical information. The main fleet is here. The nearest defensive force is 6 hours away from Parvin. The colony only has light defensive platforms. They won't last more than an hour against a major attack. Jake looked at the navigation display.
How far are we from Parven?
About 45 minutes at maximum acceleration, Amy said. And the Vraxil? They'll reach the colony in about 90 minutes, Amy calculated. Captain, even if we leave right now, we'll be alone. No other ship can get there in time. Jake stood up from his command chair and walked to the view screen. Behind him, he could feel the eyes of his crew watching him. They knew what he was thinking. They knew what he was about to decide. Lisa, what's the size of the Vraxil force attacking Parvin? Sensor data from the colony shows approximately 200 ships, Lisa said quietly. 200 against 1, Marcus said. Those aren't good odds, Captain. No, Jake agreed. They're not. But those are 2 million civilians who are going to die if someone doesn't help them. He turned to face his crew. I'm not going to order anyone to do this. This is volunteer only. Anyone who wants to can transfer to another ship right now. I'll take the Valor to Parvin alone if I have to. No one moved. Danny Wright spoke up from engineering. With all due respect, Captain, you don't know how to run the engines properly. You'd blow up halfway there without me. And you'd probably fly into an asteroid without me on navigation, Amy added. Someone needs to shoot the weapons, Marcus said. And someone needs to coordinate all of you, Lisa finished. Jake looked at each of them, feeling a fierce pride. Then I guess we're all going. Danny, give me every bit of speed this ship has. Amy, plot the fastest course to Parvin. Marcus, prep all weapon systems. Lisa, coordinate with Sophie and the medical teams. We're going to take casualties. Make sure we're ready. What about the nuclear missiles? Marcus asked. We have 11 left. Save them, Jake said. We might need them, but let's try conventional weapons first. I don't want to risk the colony with radiation. Captain Morrison, Commander Vrel said, stepping forward. I request permission to remain aboard for this engagement. You understand what we're about to do? Jake asked. This is suicide by most standards. 200 against 1. We might not survive. I understand, Vrel said, but I have been observing humans for days now. I have seen you do impossible things. If any species can win against these odds, it is yours, and I wish to witness it. Jake nodded. Welcome to the party, Commander. Strap in tight. This is going to be rough. The Valor broke away from the fleet formation once again, her engines burning at maximum power. Behind them, Admiral Grex watched on his view screen as the small human ship raced away toward impossible odds. Should we send support? One of his officers asked. We couldn't reach them in time, Grex said. The Valor is alone. They'll be destroyed, the officer said. Grex was silent for a moment. Maybe, but I wouldn't bet against them. Not anymore. The Valor screamed through space, pushing her engines beyond normal limits. In the mess hall, crew members grabbed quick meals knowing it might be their last. In medical, Dr. Sophie Chen and her team prepared for casualties. In engineering, Danny Wright nursed every bit of performance from the engines, whispering encouragement to the machines like they were living things. On the bridge, Jake sat in his command chair and watched the distance counter tick down. 40 minutes to Parvin. 40 minutes to the biggest battle of their lives. 40 minutes to prove that one human ship really could make a difference, Captain. Lisa said quietly, I've been running combat simulations. Against 200 ships, even with our advantages, our survival probability is... The Parvin colony appeared on the view screen like a blue jewel against the black of space. But the beauty was marred by the scene around it. Orbital defense platforms burned and tumbled through space, already destroyed. And descending toward the planet like a plague of locusts came the Vraxil swarm, 200 strong, their organic ships pulsing with hostile intent. We're here, Amy Foster announced, beginning combat approach. Jake Morrison studied the tactical display. The Vraxil ships were spread out in multiple groups, some already entering the upper atmosphere to attack ground targets. Others circled the planet, hunting for remaining defenses. They thought they had won. They thought nothing could stop them now. They were wrong. Target the closest group, Jake ordered. 20 ships near the northern orbital platform. We'll hit them first. Captain, if we engage, every Vraxil ship in the system will come after us, Lisa Park warned. Good, Jake said. That's exactly what I want. If they're chasing us, they're not attacking civilians. The Valor dove toward the planet at maximum speed. The Vraxel ships detected them too late. Railgun rounds tore through the first 3 vessels before they could react. Missiles followed, each one finding its target with precision guided by human computers and human reflexes. 8 ships destroyed, Marcus Bell reported. The rest are breaking off their attack run and turning toward us. Now hit the second group, Jake said. Don't give them time to coordinate. The Valor twisted in space, changing direction with acceleration that would have killed most alien crews. They fell on another cluster of Vraxel ships, weapons firing continuously. The enemy tried to return fire, but the human ship was never where they aimed. It moved like a living thing, like a predator hunting prey. 15 more ships destroyed, Lisa said. Captain, the other Vraxel groups are abandoning their attack on the planet. They're all converging on us. Perfect, Jake said. Amy, take us away from the planet. I want clear space between us and the colony. Aye, Captain, Amy said. Her fingers danced over the navigation controls, plotting a course that would draw the Vraxel away from the vulnerable civilians below. The Valor climbed away from Parvin, with 200 angry Vraxel ships in pursuit. On the planet's surface, millions of people looked up at the sky and watched distant flashes of light. They didn't know what was happening. They didn't know that a single human ship was drawing death away from them, accepting impossible odds to buy them a chance at survival. They're gaining on us, Marcus reported. We can't outrun all of them. We're not trying to outrun them, Jake said. We're trying to position them. Amy, where's that asteroid field the colony uses for mining? 3 million kilometers from our current position, Amy said. Dense field, lots of cover. Take us there, Jake ordered. Fast. The Valor raced toward the asteroid field with the Vraxel swarm close behind. The enemy ships were firing now, green plasma bolts filling the space around the human vessel. A few found their target, slamming into the Valor's shields and making the ship shudder. Shields holding at 70%, Danny Wright reported from engineering. But we can't take much more of this, Captain. We won't have to, Jake said. Amy, take us into the field. Maximum speed. Captain, that's insane, Lisa said. Even our sensors will have trouble tracking all those rocks at high speed. I know, Jake said. But the Vraxel sensors are worse than ours, and they've never seen anyone fight in an asteroid field before. The Valor plunged into the asteroid field. Rocks the size of buildings flashed past the view screen. Amy's hands moved like lightning on the controls, dodging and weaving through the obstacles. Behind them, the Vraxel swarm followed, but more slowly. Several enemy ships clipped asteroids and exploded. Others collided with each other in the confusion. They're spreading out, Lisa reported. Trying to surround us. Let them try, Jake said. Marcus, target the ships on our flanks. Use the asteroids for cover. The Valor darted behind a massive rock, then emerged from the other side with guns blazing. 3 Vraxel ships died before they could react. The human ship disappeared behind another asteroid, then appeared somewhere else entirely, attacking from an unexpected angle. This is incredible, Commander Vrel said, all 6 of his arms gripping his restraints. You are using the environment itself as a weapon. It's called terrain advantage, Jake said. Humans learned about it thousands of years ago. The Vraxel just move in straight lines. They don't think about using the space around them. The battle continued through the asteroid field. The Valor would appear, strike, and vanish. The Vraxel tried to predict where the human ship would emerge next, but they were always wrong. Human creativity and human adaptability made the Valor unpredictable in ways the enemy couldn't counter. 50 Vraxel ships destroyed, Marcus announced. Another 30 damaged. Our shields are down to 40%, Danny warned. And I'm reading stress fractures in the forward hull plating. We took a bad hit from that last barrage. Can we keep fighting? Jake asked. Yes, Danny said. But not forever. Jake looked at the tactical display. They had destroyed or damaged nearly half the enemy force. But there were still over 100 Vraxel ships active, and the Valor was taking damage. They were winning, but slowly. Too slowly, Captain, Amy said urgently. I'm reading a massive energy signature. Something big is entering the system. The long-range sensors showed a new contact, but this one was different. It was huge, at least 3 times the size of the largest Vraxel vessel they had seen, and it was heading straight for Parvin. What is that thing? Lisa asked. Reading biosigns off the chart, Marcus said. Captain, I think that's a Vraxel command ship. Maybe even a Hive Queen vessel. Jake felt his blood run cold. A command ship meant reinforcements could follow. It meant the attack on Parvin wasn't random. It was planned, coordinated, And if that ship reached the planet, everything they had fought for would be meaningless. Time to intercept? Jake asked. At current speed, it will reach Parvin in 15 minutes, Amy said. Jake made his decision in seconds. All remaining Vraxel ships in the asteroid field will chase us if we leave. But if we don't stop that command ship, the colony is lost anyway. He opened the communication channel to engineering. Danny, I need one more miracle from you. Can you give me full combat speed despite the damage? I can give you 5 minutes at full speed, Danny said. Maybe 10. After that, the engines will need to cool down or we'll risk complete failure. 5 minutes will have to be enough, Jake said. Amy, plot an intercept course for that command ship. We're going to ram it if we have to. Captain, that ship is huge, Lisa protested. Our weapons might not even hurt it. Then we use the nuclear missiles, Jake said. All 11 of them at once. That should get its attention. The Valor broke away from the asteroid field, leaving the remaining Vraxel ships behind. The command ship grew larger on the view screen as they approached. It was massive and grotesque, covered in organic armor and pulsing with green light. Weapons ports opened along its hull like wounds, preparing to fire. All weapons locked on target, Marcus said. Nuclear missiles armed and ready. Fire everything, Jake ordered. Railguns, conventional missiles, and all 11 nuclear warheads. I want that thing hurt. The Valor unleashed its entire arsenal in one devastating barrage. Railgun rounds hammered into the command ship's hull. Missiles followed, punching deep into its armor. And then the nuclear warhead struck. 11 small suns bloomed against the command ship's hull. The explosions overlapped, creating a cascade of destruction that tore through organic armor like paper. The massive vessel shuddered, pieces of it breaking away and tumbling through space. Green atmosphere vented from ruptured sections. The bioplasma weapons went dark. Direct hits, Marcus reported. That thing is crippled. It's not going anywhere. The remaining Vraxel ships are retreating, Lisa added. I think we killed their leadership. They're disorganized, running in all directions. Jake slumped back in his command chair, suddenly exhausted. Status report. How bad are we hurt? Shields are down, Danny said. Forward hull plating is compromised. We have fires in 3 sections. Engines are offline for emergency cooling. Life support is stable, but power reserves are at 20%. Casualties? Jake asked quietly. 18 dead, Dr. Sophie Chen reported over the communication system. Her voice was heavy with grief. 43 injured, 15 critical. We lost most of our engineering team when a plasma bolt penetrated the aft section. Jake closed his eyes for a moment. 18 crew members. 18 men and women who had followed him into impossible odds. 18 people who would never go home. Compile a list of names. Their families will be notified with full honors. Yes, Captain, Sophie said softly. But we saved them, Commander Vrel said quietly. 2 million people live because of what you did here, because of what your crew sacrificed. Jake opened his eyes and looked at the Cathari observer. Was it worth it, Commander? 18 lives for 2 million? The math says yes, but I knew every person we lost. I served with them. I trained them. I sent them into battle knowing some might not come back. That is the burden of command, Vrel said. But you gave those people a choice. You offered to go alone. They chose to follow you. They died doing what humans do best, fighting for others, protecting the innocent.